Hello, this is Erick Widman. I'm an immigration lawyer, and we're going live twice a week on various important immigration topics, questions that I get asked a lot by clients. And today we are looking at, is it possible to travel internationally after I've filed for citizenship, after I've applied to naturalize? And this question comes up a lot because prior to becoming a US citizen, you likely applied for a green card through adjustment of status or something similar, and you vaguely remember that you're not able to travel internationally after you filed for your green card. And you needed to do advanced parole and get permission from the government. Otherwise, you'd abandon your green card application. So the system is different. That rule does not apply to you. You're free to travel on your green card still when you've applied to naturalize. So that is different. But there are a couple key requirements that you had to have met in order to be eligible to naturalize. And that is the physical presence test and the continuous residence test. And it can be a little confusing if you still have to meet those tests after you've applied to naturalize, because you're going to have an interview roughly 9, 10, 11 months later. And are they going to count the days that you've traveled internationally against you? Could you break your residence, break your continuous residence requirement, and therefore not actually be able to naturalize? So those are important questions. The first thing to keep in mind, though, is that yes, you can travel internationally. You're not prohibited. You won't lose your citizen application by doing that. But the policy manual of USCIS does say, on the one hand, that when you look at the physical presence test, you look at the continuous residence test, you look backwards in a sense to the time that you naturalized, to the time that you applied to naturalize. So the USCIS policy manual says you have to have met those requirements at the time you apply. However, it does not go on to say you must still meet them prior to the date of the interview. But that is our recommendation, is that you continue to meet the physical presence and the continuous residence requirements even after you've applied. And that's because on a logical common sense level, if you apply to naturalize and then went on to spend 6 months outside the US, cut your ties, and basically broke continuous residence, you're not able to naturalize. If you abandon your green card, the USCIS officer would most likely not approve your case for naturalization because you would have abandoned your green card. So applying that to the physical presence side of things, you definitely want to make sure you keep that 50% or more number of days physically present in the US. Make sure you spent that minimum period of time here up until the point of becoming a citizen and passing your test and through the oath ceremony. In addition, you'll want to make sure that you're present in the US. You have to be in the US. You can't be traveling for 3 key events after you apply for citizenship. So one of those is the biometrics appointment. A few months after you apply for citizenship, you should be called in to have your fingerprints taken and your picture taken. That's normal, standard. You have to do that. You can actually reschedule if you are out of the country or you're traveling or sick when the biometrics appointment is scheduled. But that'll delay your case by likely a few months, maybe a few weeks, but typically a few months these days. Second key event that you have to be there in order to naturalize, and you can't be traveling internationally, you have to be there for your interview. So you're going to be tested, of course, on the civics test. You got to answer 6 out of 10 questions correctly. You have to pass the English and the writing test, and you have to make sure you get through all the eligibility questions. You have to successfully pass your interview. Finally, the third event you need to be there in person for in order to naturalize is the oath ceremony. So roughly a month after you successfully pass your tests and get through the interview, you're going to be invited to take the oath. And that's a wonderful, meaningful time. You'll receive your certificate of naturalization and an application to apply for a passport. So make sure you are meeting all of the physical presence, continuous residence tests up until the time that you are given your certificate of naturalization. And make sure you're there for all those key events, otherwise it's not possible. But then in general, keep in mind that you are in fact able to travel internationally after you apply to naturalize. There's no sudden death or a horrible issue like abandoning your green card application if you were adjusting status. That does not apply in the same way. Hope this helps. Let us know if you have any questions. Look forward to seeing you on the next broadcast. Take care.